When a market is functioning well, it allocates resources efficiently. And by efficiently, we mean that it generates the most possible welfare from all the possible transactions. In other words, it means it maximizes total surplus or consumer and producer surplus added up together. So to see that, here we have our standard supply and demand model at equilibrium. And we remind ourselves that the supply curve represents the marginal cost of producing a product, while the demand curve represents the marginal benefit. So at equilibrium, marginal benefit equals marginal cost, right? But if for some reason the market finds itself below Q star, so anywhere here, we're in a situation where marginal benefit is greater than marginal cost. Right, so that means we're missing out on potential transactions all the way up to Q star that could generate some consumer surplus, as identified by this triangle here, or some producer surplus, right? So if we stop short, then we're not getting that. On the other hand, if we see the market go beyond Q star, somewhere here to the right now marginal benefit is down here because the demand curve is lower, and marginal cost is way up here. So marginal benefit is less than marginal cost. And this doesn't make any sense. This is irrational, because if consumers and producers are engaging in this part of the market, it means that someone is actually worse off. Either consumers are overpaying beyond their marginal benefit, or producers are undercharging below their marginal cost. Someone is actually worse off here, right? So we would consider this situation a market failure because the quantity is beyond Q star, where now marginal benefit is less than cost, right? And if we are over to the left, we also have a market failure. In both of these cases, surplus is not being maximized. But when we are at Q star, we have the maximum welfare possible, right? In other words, consumer and producer surplus are as high as they can be, at least as a whole. Okay, maybe consumer surplus might be higher under a price ceiling in certain cases, but overall, producer and consumer surplus together will be highest at Q star, right? So this is what we call efficiency, or an efficient allocation of resources. There are a lot of reasons why a market might end up somewhere out other than Q star, and we've looked at a few of those. We've talked about taxes, we've talked about price controls, right? And so these are situations where the government has imposed some sort of policy that actually reduces the number of transactions to below Q star. But there are also other situations that are not the fault of the government, where the market might fail, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So one of those situations is when a market exhibits externalities, or positive or negative spillovers that affect people outside of the market itself. And when there are externalities, we'll see that the market can either end up under providing the product, meaning we end up here to the left of Q star, or over providing the product, meaning we end up beyond Q star, where marginal benefit is actually lower than marginal cost. And then we'll consider how we might actually use government policy, such as taxation, to correct the market failure caused by externalities.